All right, what you see laid out here before you today is all the things I need to make a dart. And the first thing we're going to need is a length of river cane. All right, as you can see, it's not very straight. It's all kind of crooked and whatnot. And so to straighten it, I'm going to use this little camp stove to heat it up so that I can bend it straight. And because it gets really hot, I'm going to wear a pair of gloves to protect my little fingers. And what I do is I just run it back and forth, turning it over in the heat until I think it gets hot enough, usually about 10 to 15 seconds. And then I'll lay it across here and push down until it gets relatively straight. A little bit bend there. And I'll do one section straight, and then I'll go to the other. Notice how that's got a little drag in it. And I'll just keep going on all the way through the end. Sometimes I'll have to go back over them a couple of times. Depends on how green the cane is when you try to heat it. What you do is you pick the cane, you bundle it up, and then you put it in the garage or in a back room someplace, and you have to let it age for about 4 to 6 weeks to get some water content out of it. And what makes it able to straighten is river cane, just like bamboo, has silica in it in crystallized form, and when you heat it up, the crystal turns to liquid, which allows you to bend it straight, and then in a matter of seconds, 2 or 3 seconds after you take it off the heat, the crystals will start to form again, and it will hold the shape that you bend it into. And as I heat it up, I can actually get some of the crust off of the cane. And I don't know if you can see it, but I'm going to have to go back and get the front end. The front end of the cane, the heavy base end, is thicker than the back end, and it takes a little work to get that stuff straightened. Whereas the back end heats up real quick, and you can straighten it pretty fast. Now you see where it dips here at a joint. You go back and just fire up that joint. Sometimes it's crooked from the side rather than the top, so you have to straighten that out. I try not to scorch it, but you got to leave it in the heat long enough to get the crystals to melt. And that's straight enough for a dart. This is a dart that's ready for fletching. Notice that it has bindings here, bindings there, and bindings there. That's all just 3-ply cotton string with a layer of PC7 glue on it. The PC7 glue is waterproof, hard as a rock. You can sand it, you can carve it, you can do whatever you want with it. And when you put the string on there with the glue, that's almost as good as a cast that you would put on a broken leg or an arm. So it holds really well. But now I'm going to show you how I do the string. This is just common, cheap, really cheap 3-ply cotton string. And this is the PC7 glue. And this is my mixing stick, which I've had for 29 years now. The same stick. And what I use for a palette to mix the glue on is just the glossy side of a cardboard box that you would buy soda pop in, or in this case, Little Debbie's Pies. And PC7 comes in 2 colors. You get a black glue, and it's good, okay. And what you want to do is you want to mix even amounts of PC7 glue. I'm going to be doing a little bit more today, so I better mix up some bunch. And you always need to have some paper towels handy so you can wipe off stuff. But you don't want to mix the black stuff in with the white stuff. It'll harden it up. It's at about 50-50. Now this is thick as like real thick peanut butter or fudge before you bake it. The stuff won't run or drip. The next thing I'm going to do is going to tape off an area that I don't want the glue on, because I only want to go a little ways, both front and back. I go for the back end. I go for about 1.5 inches, make it nice and strong. All right. So you want to spread it on like you would ice a cake. Just spread it back and forth till you get it all on there. And wrap the string around. Tie it off. Cut it clean. And now more glue. To finish off the glue, I take a rolled up piece of paper towel and just apply it gently and roll the stick in it. Spread the glue out nice and clean. And then slowly take it away so it doesn't leave any marks. And you got a pretty good finish. And then I get rid of the tape. And there you go. That's how you do it. This is the forceps. After you've taped here and taped there, you want to build a forceps with a point in it to put inside the dart. Now in the old days, I didn't glue the forceps in there. It was just pressure fitted in there. So when it hit an animal, the animal would wail around and the dart would fall off, and then you could run up, pull another forceps out of your quiver, stud it in there, and you're ready to go with the spear again. That way you only had to take 2 or 3 of these spears along with you, and a quiver full of dart shafts, and you were good for a hunt. So, this is a finished forceps. We'll get to that one in a minute. But I start with a 1/2 inch dowel rod. I had a guy make this for me at a machine shop. It has a 1/2 inch hole in this end and a 1/4 inch hole in that end. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that right on top of there. Drill a hole in it. And then I'm going to take a Shin-2 rasp and I'm going to cone down that outside. This has a rough side and a fine side. We start with the rough. ready to do this part again. Tape off the border. But first we need a point. So now I'm going to make a point. What I did is I hammered it down to a basic screwdriver shape. And then I went to the outside edges and pounded it out till it fanned out. So it goes from thick to thin. And I did it on both sides. So I end up with pretty much a fan shape at the end, or a spoon shape, whatever you want to call it. And now I'm going to put a point in it. Now I've cut a V shape in it. But I want to file that down so it's got a nice clean edge. Once I get that flattened out, I'm going to do an angle on it. Do I have a point? All right. Now I want to cut the point off. We'll want to round off the back end so it goes in the hole better. Does this look familiar? Let me put some glue on it. I'm going to run some of that glue up the shank so I've got some string around the shank and the wood to help hold it together when it dries. More glue. I want to make sure I get glue over every bit of the string. And once I'm pretty sure I got glue everywhere, including on my fingers, take that paper towel thing again. Always pull it away gently so it doesn't leave a crust. Pull the tape off and you've got a foreshaft. In order to make a cup in the top of the dart that the Atlatl spur fits into, I used this little 1.5 inch spade. And just ream out a hole. It just so happens that this spade makes a hole that is just the right size for my spurs. Now the next thing that happens is we got to drill a hole in this end for the foreshaft. And for that, I'm going to use a 3/8 inch diameter drill bit. But to go in just like this. Once you got a hole in it, you got a hole. And the next move is to put that in there. Oh, wait, it's a 1/2 inch diameter going in a 3/8 inch hole. Can't do that. So we have to make a tang. And again, back to the Shin 2 rasp, left side first. Again, take the rough side till you get it down about where you want it to be. And then you use the smooth side to smooth it out. I'm just about there as far as how thin I want it to be. I'll take off some in the middle. And it's good every now and then check, see how you're doing. That's almost there. Well, that is there. That's close enough. All right, so once again, we're back to the glue. And I'm going to put glue on this stick all over it where I'm going to go do it. And make sure it's all spread out nice and evenly. And all the way down to the joint, a little bit on top. And then when you're ready, you stick it in. You try to line it up so it's coming out of there straight. That's not bad. Once again. And voila. You now have a 4-shafted dart. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use 2 colors of feathers. 1 of one color and 2 of the other. And what I want to do is I want to put that odd colored feather on the spine side of the dart. And by the spine side, I mean the part of the dart that when you got it in one direction, it gently bounces up and down. If you just turn a little bit, then it gets kind of wobbly and starts to go in a spiral. That's not the spine, so you want to get it right on the spine, up and down, because when it comes to load it on the Atlatl, I'll put it spine feather up. So that I'm always, just like you would a 2x4, crown side up, do the same thing with the dart. You put the spine side up on your Atlatl. I want to cut the feathers to the same length. And I estimate about 8 inches. I don't really measure it. I've done so many of them, I guess I got it down memorized in my head what the distance is. And then I'll cut off about 3/4 of an inch of the feather front and back. Give me something to tie on to. I'm going to use this fake sinew. This is polyester. And the thing is about this stuff, I'm going to get up here for a second. You need about that much. It's a little bit, this comes in like 3-ply, and 1-ply is enough to tie a feather on. So out of 1 strand that long, you can do 3 sets of darts. Just pull them apart. And you're ready to go. Put that away for another day. Okay. So now, I want to take a little duct tape. Now I'm going to sit on the dart. Take that loose end out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start pulling the feathers apart at about 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch apart, and putting the string in between them, pulling tight the whole time to keep it tight. I'm going to work my way up to the end. And I'm going to do a little commentary here. When I make darts, I'll straighten six canes at a time. And I'll glue up the ends on 6 canes at a time. I'll make 6 foreshafts, 6 points, 6 groups of feathers. And I'll do, when I get to the feathering part, since I'm retired and I'm not on a schedule, I'm only going to fletch up about 3 darts a night. But that works out pretty good because at the end of the week, that's 30 darts. Or close to it. About 21 darts, a couple dozen. And like I say, I make about 10 Atlatls a year to sell and about 30 darts. So that doesn't take up a whole lot of my time. But I've been doing this for 29 years, so I've gotten into a routine on how to do it and how to have things set up so that it's convenient for me to do it. Okay, now I'm at the end, and I'm going to need to trim that one back a little bit to even it up. And and pulling tight the whole time, make sure everything is snug. And I'll go back and forth on this a couple times until all the quill from the feathers disappears under the string. That way I know it's neatly wrapped. That's reason 1. Reason 2 is if I ever have to change out these feathers in the wild, all I have to do is cut the string and unwind it and use it again. And I'm finishing this up. I'll get up here, do a twist around to tie it off. Tie it off. Cut it about there. And the wonders of modern chemistry is burn it down to the stem, blow on it, and that leaves a little bulb so that the string won't unwind. And then I come back to the front with that other piece that we left behind so I can cover up the duct tape and wrap the front. So we tied it off. So anyway, that's how I make a dart from start to finish. Hope you all enjoyed it. And I asked the same question I asked a lot of people. Did you actually see me do anything that you can't do? And the answer should be, well, no, Ray, that looked easy. Well, then go ahead and do it yourself. Thank you very much.